Hello, my name is Nathan Massiola. I'm a lieutenant for the McCloud Fire Department. Today we are going to go over calculating pump discharge pressure. Pump discharge pressure, or PDP, is calculated by adding nozzle pressure, friction loss, elevation loss, and appliance loss. When added together, those give you your pump discharge pressure. First, let's define nozzle pressure. This is the pressure desired at the end of the hose line at the nozzle. For handheld smoothbore nozzles, it's typically 50 psi. For master smoothbores, around 80 psi, and for combination or fog nozzles, 100 psi. It's important to note that different nozzles may have different requirements. Check with the manufacturer. These are good generic numbers to use, though. Next, we have friction loss. Friction loss is calculated using CQ squared L. C is for coefficient, and the coefficient is dependent on hose size. So a 1-inch hose and a 5-inch hose are going to have vastly different coefficients. Next, we have Q. Q is defined as gallons per minute divided by 100. And lastly, L. L is the length of hose, LOH here for short, divided by 100. Next, let's talk about elevation loss. Elevation loss is defined as the change in elevation divided by 2. Next is appliance loss. Appliance loss only applies at 350 gallons per minute or more. So this is unique to portable master streams, deck guns, or really heavy water usage. Now that we understand the building blocks of pump discharge pressure, let's use this example. Using a combination nozzle at 200 gallons per minute with 200 feet of 2.5-inch hose and an elevation gain of 20 feet. First, we need to look at our nozzle pressure. Given that we have a combination nozzle, we're going to use 100 psi. So 100, where NP was. Next, friction loss. This is where a majority of the math is done. Our coefficient for 2.5-inch hose, well, what is that? I have compiled a list of good generic numbers over here on the side. Remember, they do vary depending on the type of hose that you use, but generally these are accepted numbers. So for 2.5-inch hose, we have a coefficient of 2. We multiply that by Q squared. Now let's find Q. Q is our gallons per minute divided by 100. You can see we have 200 gallons per minute. So we'll take 200 divided by 100, which is 2. And don't forget, we have to square our Q, so 2 squared. And then times L. L is our length of hose divided by 100, so we have 200 In this given example, take 200 divided by 100 is 2. Now we'll take that 2 squared, that becomes 4, and bring the rest down. 2 times 4 times 2. 2 times 4 is 8, times 2 is 16. So our friction loss is 16 in this example. Let's go and plug that back in to our PDP formula. So the 16 goes where the friction loss is. Next, we're going to add our elevation loss. Remember, our elevation loss, or EL, is our change in elevation divided by 2. In this example, we have a 20-foot gain in elevation. So we're going to take our 20 divided by 2, which gives us 10 for our elevation loss. Let's plug that in to our PDP formula. So elevation loss is 10. Then we'll add our appliance loss. Now remember, appliance loss only applies at 350 gallons a minute or more, and we are at 200 gallons per minute in this specific example. Therefore, our appliance loss is 0. Let's get rid of this little line here. And now we can add them all together. 100 plus 16 plus 10 gives us 126 psi. This is a very simple example, but it gives you the basics of how we calculate our pump discharge pressure. Given a combination nozzle, 200 gallons per minute, 200 feet of 2.5-inch hose, and 20 feet of elevation gain. Thanks for watching, and check in for more.